Hello everyone. I wanted to jump on, just had my live celebrating my 5 years of since publishing my first article, and I'm taking today to reflect on how far I've come and how that decision to share my voice, my truth, has changed my life. And it's not an easy decision. We're so used to adapting ourselves to what is required. We're so used to living from the outside in, to look a certain way, to behave a certain way, to speak on the subjects that are appropriate. We're so afraid to be judged and to be criticized that we keep ourselves small, and all of that is happening automatically. In fact, we don't even realize that we're constantly self-censoring, because although these coping mechanisms were developed when we were children, it was our need to survive that has adapted us to cope that way. Most of us continue living from these coping mechanisms when we become adult, although they no longer serve us, because we're no longer those helpless children. We can absolutely survive on our own, and yet it is our nervous system and that all of us are traumatized. So it's the resulting, it's the PTSD, really, it's the post-traumatic way of being that keeps us in that state of helplessness and frazzlement, the nervous system that is afraid to go beyond its, we're afraid of that feeling of fear, we're afraid of that feeling of anxiety and alarm. I've spoken so much about the fact that when we're not facing real and present danger, everything else is only happening in our imagination. And yes, we feel it in our body because the feelings are stuck in our body, but it's not real. And learning to distinguish which fear is real and which is imaginary, which is due to our cellular memory, it's a really important step. And what I wanted to say is also, 5 years later, after that leap of faith, the jumping off the cliff that was my submitting my first article for publication, I still get that nervous system activation every time I submit a new article, especially if it's a theme that I'm playing with, that is provocative, that is taboo. I still get activated. And for example, today before my live on Facebook, I was nervous. I actually was able to observe my nervous system going into the stress response. My heart was beating, I was hyperventilating, although I've done these videos so many times. So it's a constant inner dialogue. It's not going to go away, most likely. It will be there every time we expand, and every time we up level, and every time we do something for the first time. The resulting pressure does decrease with time as it becomes habitual. It's easier to tolerate, but we're really being invited to step into our power, because our world is changing, and the way we've been doing life before, overachieving, consuming, not really relating intimately, we are hiding behind our masks, and we're just not living to our fulfillment. We're not living to our capacities. We are keeping ourselves small for fear of being punished. And we're not little children anymore. And although I don't discount the feeling of fear and the feeling of anxiety, I deal with that, as I mentioned earlier in this video, but there is something between allowing our fears to hold us back and not pushing because we need to achieve, but rather to be so in tune with our inner voice and inner body language that we recognize when an inspiration strikes, and where we really need to express what we need to express, whether it is to go publicly like I did through my articles or through my videos, or it's in our relationships where we need to communicate that we're suffering or that something can not go on. We're really invited to step into our power and use our voice, learn how to use it, learn how to self-regulate, learn how to deal with the emotional charge that is present and triggered in our bodies, and then learn to communicate with our partners, learn to communicate with people in our lives, and learn to create relationships from deep connection and sense of safety, so we can be fulfilled and we can be so relaxed and safe and joyful in this life that we come into our gifts and start spreading them. I was very touched today on my live during my celebration. Some of the women told me that my daring to speak about difficult subjects allowed them to feel the same feelings that they were going through. When we realize that, when we start sharing, we realize that we're not alone in feeling what we're feeling. One thing that is unmistakable that I learned speaking to people all over the world is that our emotional experience is very similar. It's across cultures, across generations, and across genders. And it's our ability to accept our feelings as valuable and valid, and not shame ourselves out of them, and learn to express our feelings, our needs, learn to show ourselves in order to be seen. That's what we all seek, to be loved, to be seen, to be understood. But if we're not able to reveal ourselves, we will not be seen. I spent many years in my relationship blaming my husband for not being there for me. And it's only recently that I understood that I wasn't showing myself. It's not that simple, of course. There are so many complications in relating, and we need to unlearn practically everything we've learned from our previous generations and learn how to relate anew. But the time has come, and I think many of us are waking up to the need to be able to do things differently. And I also am going through a big transformation in my professional life, because until now, a lot of what I was sharing was documenting my own voyage of transformation. And I feel that today, although my own voyage of growth and learning and transformation is never done, I feel that I'm called today to step into more of a leadership position where I need to make a strategic effort, a concerted effort to make my voice and make the learning, the result, the wisdom that I found on my voyage, make it available more widely. So I took the last 2 weeks and created a skeleton of an online program that will include everything that I've learned until now. I will speak more about it when I'm ready, but I just wanted to let you know that I feel that a new door is opening in my professional work, that I will continue documenting my process, of course, but I feel that I'm now also in a position to start being more organized and more strategic about sharing this wisdom that I've had an absolute blessing to come into. And all that came when I started taking time to learn who I am from the inside out, and then started expressing myself beyond masks, beyond people pleasing, speaking truths that are sometimes difficult and confronting. And that was my only way of surviving. And now I'm thriving thanks to finding that language, thanks to daring to express myself from the inside out. So just wanted to share with you, much more to come. I wanted to say I appreciate every single one of you here. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for stepping onto this journey of awakening and unlearning and relearning. I really appreciate you and love you, and I will be back.